Vessel's a puzzle game, so it's a single-player game, which there's not really like a community like Minecraft or something. We have a community, but we do through our forums. We can communicate with people on Twitter and Facebook, all those social options that everybody uses, and that's been pretty good. And things like that. It's super fun.
I've sort of had to step into that, public face of our games because there's nobody else that really does that at our small company. And Airmac has been kind of my baby all along that I'm most passionate about. So I've been the one that goes on the forums and talks to people, and people are like, you should stay back, you shouldn't, say stuff that's going to get them riled up, but I can't really resist, sorry. So I manage like the Twitter account, the Facebook account, the G+ account. I hate keeping track of all those things, but I do my best to put out news about the updates and answer people's questions, whether they're asking something weird on Facebook. If it doesn't even make sense, I try to go and help them. Like I really try to go through and at least at this stage, when it's not an overwhelming number of players, it's enough that I still know a lot of them by name, and I go, okay, so that guy's having that problem. And some of the people, I run their stuff through Google Translate just so I can, help them run it on their 286 from Brazil or whatever. I'm like, I feel really bad, but I enjoy it. Like it's kind of a guilty pleasure. I do enjoy working with the fans. I just wonder at what point it's going to continue to make sense. Like we did an update, an Easter update for the game. We put out some Easter content, and one of the items we put out was Jesus. And it kind of raised some eyebrows. We have a number of very, very religious individuals in our like closed testing group that we talk to all the time in Steam chat, and we kind of cleared it with them, like, hey, would you guys think it's cool if we put Jesus? No, we're not making fun of them. It's Jesus. And they're like, yeah, it's okay. So then we put it out, and then some people on the message board, and they're like, I'm not comfortable with this. This bothers me. And like, so against my better judgment, I go in and explain our position. We're not actually making fun of him. We just want to put him. Honestly, we're not. You want to see? We have a really nice picture of Jesus that we created. We didn't.
He looks really good. Yeah.
And he's got really good healing abilities. He's a pretty boss character. He's pretty good. And I explained our position, and then the guy came back and he said, oh, I appreciate you explaining it that way. I'm okay with it now. And I won an internet. It freaked the rest of the testers out there. What just happened? So, but yeah, it's been a fun experience. I do like interacting with the community as long as I can.
Alex mentioned Petri Furo. His current game is Jesus vs. Dinosaurs.
Yes.
It's a particularly enjoyable game. So it's actually a card. Build-up card game. It's really fun.
I believe it's very historically accurate.
Yes.
Who wins?
So, because I spend a lot of time by myself in my office in Australia, in the middle of the ocean, I'm really responsive on Twitter and Facebook, and I don't have like a community of players yet because my game isn't done. But I certainly have a lot of people who have been waiting for the game. I'll probably answer any questions that people ask, and I also spend, a lot of the time during the development traveling around to conferences like these so that people can, see what the game is, talk to me. That's sort of the way that I've been approaching community, throughout development, because I can't really talk too much about, what the game is online. People are like, I want to know more, and I'm like, I can't tell you because that's just going to ruin everything. So I kind of have to just keep going out. And that's also a way to break out away from my insanity of my own room and talk to people, which is good.
All right, let's take a look at some of the questions we received. Thank you guys all for submitting these. Any advice on securing financing, and is that even required to get going?
I don't think it's required to start. Start with, if you have no money, create something that doesn't require money. I started off as a student and was just messing around. It's certainly not required.
Yeah, I think you should make something that ideally you don't need a lot of funding for, because it is hard to come by funding. Like even an established team has to jump through a lot of hoops to get funding. And we found even when we were starting out, when you've got a really strong track record of people and you put them together for the first time, like when we brought the team together, made Titan Studios to do Fat Princess. It's like, oh, we've got a great track record, it'll be no problem. But it's actually, they look at the track record of the studio as well, and how long you've been around, and how much money they estimate that you have, so they can, put their hooks into you. You have to sign some things away, when you take financing like that. So I would do anything you can to avoid taking financing, even if it means just cutting down the scope of your game. Make something small, make something cool. That's a better way to get financing. You can't just take an idea and say, hey, finance that. I think that's very hard for even an established studio.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard people who come up with like an idea, they're like, oh, I want to sell this idea. It's like, the idea isn't really worth that much. It's all about the execution. And if you're going to approach a project, you got to be able to, if I was a new team starting out, I wouldn't have the plan of like, okay, I need to get financing before I can do this. Like, you got to be able to put something out there first and just show some prototypes or build it up, or if you can, the whole game before, be able to do that whole thing without getting funding. If you do want to get funding, though, that's what the question is specifically. Yeah, it does definitely open doors. I mean, it makes things easier. You can like feed yourself, which is nice. So
food is good, so yeah.
But not required.
But
it's not required.
Not required. But I think the best way to do that is to get your game seen, build up that publicity, because the audience who potentially invest in your game, investors the same as they're part of the player base that's looking at your game. So put it in a contest, put it in IGF. There's tons of indie contests out there. Just get it out there, build that community. I think that's a good way to start.